Most people's ChatGPT custom instructions are either completely blank or filled with phrases the model effectively ignores. Be professional. Give me clear answers. Don't be too wordy. That's not a brief. That's noise. Custom instructions exist to carry stable professional context into every session, so you stop re-explaining who you are and what you need every time you open a new chat. But without the right structure, even a full text box changes nothing. Today, I'm giving you the exact framework. The pilot plan brief. 2 fields, 4 components. The order matters, the specific inputs matter, and I'll show you what goes in each one and what to leave out. Before anything else, here's the single shift that changes how you use this feature. Custom instructions are not about telling ChatGPT your personality preferences. They're about loading stable, professional context into the model before the session starts. That distinction is why most people's setup doesn't change anything. They're filling in the wrong kind of information. Quick note on how this channel works. This video is presented by an AI avatar. Deliberate production choice for a channel built on teaching you to use AI effectively. All interfaces and settings shown are verified against current platform documentation. Accurate information, efficiently delivered. ChatGPT released custom instructions in 2023. It's been available to all users for over a year. But look at how most people fill it out, and you'll find one of 2 patterns. Either the fields are blank, or they contain vague preference statements that read like a cover letter. The model processes those inputs and then largely defaults to its standard behavior anyway. The reason: the model responds to context, not personality. It needs to understand your operating environment, not your preferred communication style. That changes what belongs in both fields. There are 2 fields. Most users treat them as variations of the same question. They're not. Field 1. What would you like ChatGPT to know about you? This is your context input, your role, your domain, the operating environment that stays constant across most of your work. Field 2. How would you like ChatGPT to respond? This is your output specification. Structure preference, defaults, what to skip automatically without being asked every time. Field 1 tells the model who it's working with. Field 2 tells the model how to deliver its output. Get both right, and the context is preloaded before you type a single prompt. Field 1 is where most people underdeliver. The pilot plan brief has 4 components. Role. Your functional title in relation to the tasks you actually bring to ChatGPT. Not your LinkedIn job title. Your working role. Marketing strategist for B2B software companies is more useful than senior manager. Domain, your operating context. Industry, audience, scale, the environment your outputs land in. This isn't biography, it's professional context. Goals, what you're consistently trying to accomplish, not be more productive. Specific, recurring deliverables. Develop strategic frameworks, draft client-facing communications, and analyze content performance data. That level of specificity. Constraints, what to always avoid. Jargon your audience doesn't use. Formats that don't suit your output channel. Categories of information that should never enter the chat. Keep field 1 under 500 characters. The model processes structured, concise context more reliably than dense narrative paragraphs. Field 2 is where most people overspecify tone and underspecify format. Be professional and concise. Every AI model defaults to this. It's noise. Writing it in your custom instructions changes nothing. What actually works: specify structure. Lead with the key point. Follow with supporting evidence. Close with one actionable next step. Give the model a template for how you consume information. Specify defaults. When I ask for options, provide 3. When I ask for a draft, use professional tone, unless I indicate otherwise. This removes back and forth from every session. Specify what to skip. Don't open with pleasantries. Don't restate what I've already said. Don't add disclaimers unless I ask. Those 3 instructions alone will change your daily experience with the platform. You now have both fields. The framework is in place. But here's where most setups break down, and it has nothing to do with what you wrote. There's a specific behavior pattern that cancels even well-structured custom instructions mid-session. It happens gradually. You don't notice it in the moment, and it's the reason your output quality degrades the longer a conversation runs. I'll show you exactly what it is, and the simple rule that prevents it. The mistake is session context overload. Here's what happens. Your custom instructions are solid. The first few exchanges are structured, relevant, on format. Then you start layering in session-specific content, a long document, a complex situation, multiple questions in a single message. As the session context grows, the model's attention is distributed across everything in the window, your instructions and your current inputs. The relative weight of your preloaded instructions decreases. The result? By the middle of a long session, your output formatting degrades. The structure loosens. The defaults stop holding. The fix is a single rule. Custom instructions carry stable, background context only. Complex, session-specific, or sensitive inputs go in the prompt, not in your instructions. Don't put client names in custom instructions. Don't put project-specific details. Don't put anything that changes across sessions. Background context stays in the instructions. Session context goes in the prompt. That's the split. Last week we covered data controls across all three platforms. This week, the equivalent of custom instructions. Claude handles this through system prompts inside projects. The concept maps directly to Field 1 and Field 2, but the architecture gives you more flexibility. You create a project, assign it a system prompt, and every conversation inside that project inherits that context automatically. Multiple projects means multiple brief versions, client work, internal research, content production, each with its own preloaded context. If your work spans distinct domains, Claude's project structure is the more scalable architecture. Gemini is different, and the gap is meaningful. Gemini Advanced has a GEMS feature, pre-configured AI assistants you can customize with instructions. The depth of field level control available in ChatGPT and Claude system prompts is not replicated in GEMS. Practical implication for stable professional context. Use ChatGPT custom instructions or Claude system prompts. Gemini is a different tool for a different use case. ChatGPT custom instructions carries one active version at a time. If you work across multiple domains, one brief won't cover everything. The workaround: save each version as a plain text document externally. When you switch contexts, open the relevant version, paste it in, save, 30 seconds, or use Claude projects, one per working context, each with its own system prompt. That's the more scalable architecture for genuinely distinct working modes. Either way, treat your brief like a version document, not a preference setting. Update it when your role changes, when your output formats change, when your audience changes. A stale brief loads outdated context into every session. That's worse than starting blank. Run this once today. Step 1. Open custom instructions. Delete everything currently in both fields, including whatever you wrote at setup. Step 2. Field 1. Write your 4-component brief. Role, domain, goals, constraints, under 500 characters. Structured, not narrative. Step 3. Field 2. Output specification. Structure preference. Defaults. 3 things to skip. Test it with one prompt before saving. Step 4. Save a copy externally. Text file, Notes app, wherever you manage working documents. This is version 0. Update it when your context changes. Step 5. If you use Claude, set up one project per working context. Assign each a system prompt, using the same 4-component structure from Field 1. That's the complete setup. Custom instructions aren't a productivity feature. They are the mechanism that turns ChatGPT from a tool that responds to what you typed into one that understands what you need. One setup. Persistent context. Every session. Start with Field 1. Get the professional context right first. The output specification in Field 2 is only as useful as the context you've already loaded. Next week, we'll cover how to test whether your custom instructions are actually working. The specific prompt structure that reveals exactly what the model has retained from your brief and what it's missed. If this gave you something concrete to work with, hit like and subscribe if you want the next one. See you there.